Welcome back, everybody. Oh, it's been a little bit of a break, but this is episode number 52 of X's in the U. I am Matt Kandazik, former president of the Sons of Ben. And as always, I'm joined by ex-head capo Adam Booth and forever Union legend Sebastian Latou. We are going to bring you everything happening in the Union, and we got a lot to recap. Gentlemen, how are you both doing today? And happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Matt. I'm good. Good to hear from both of you.
Yeah, Adam, you're joining us from Italy. Seba joining us from the suburbs, and I'm in the city of brotherly love, where it is currently raining like Noah's Ark outside. So hopefully we survive this recording. But yeah, we've got a lot to recap, guys, and let's just go where we left off. The Union won the Shield. Adam, did we win the Shield against New York City? Is that who we clinched against?
We did win the Shield against New York City.
That's a little ironic as we get further down the path. That's kind of crazy. And the only thing, congratulations, winning the Shield. I never thought it was going to happen the first time, let alone the second time, the way the team set up with the structure and money ball and everything. I didn't think we were going to go, best record in the league when you've got the Miamis of the world and San Diego coming out with all that money and everything else. So congratulations on them. The only issue I had was the booing of Jay. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wrong time, wrong place. The concept's been proven that it works. You want a title. I don't know. Like boo John Middleton. He spends all the money you want to spend, but doesn't get anywhere. So the logic doesn't get me. But I want to get your reaction, both of you guys, winning the Shield. What were your thoughts? And if you want to talk about booing Jay, pile it on.
Look, first and foremost, obviously winning the Shield is
the best. This is in any other league in the world. This is what you look forward to as much as anything else. You want to win the league title. You want to be the best at the end of the regular season. And I believe this is probably going to go down, at least if you are a true fan of this sport, as one of the more impressive Shield runs in the history of MLS. And it really has to be categorized by the fact that this team had little to no expectation going into this season. There was a lot of people having them firmly in the bottom third of our league. And the fact that they came out really from the get-go, established themselves as one of the top teams in the league and withstand pretty much every other team coming at them from Vancouver to Miami to San Diego, Cincinnati, all parts in between, and to be at the mountaintop at the end of the season. I think this is probably the most impressive Union season ever. I don't think that's a hyperbole to say that. I don't know if this was the most talented roster we've ever had, but it definitely put together, one of the best performances I've seen in Major League Soccer ever, especially given who the opponents are, who else is in this league, how many legendary players have been signed within the last 365 days to join MLS. Again, to come out on top, I think all parts involved in the Union organization should be commended for that. And look, the booing of Jay, Philadelphians would boo their mom if they thought that they weren't, doing the right thing. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think a lot of people, and honestly, if you go on the internet and you check some of the social media pages and message boards, a lot of people are eating crow. A lot of people are being humble, are admitting that they did not expect this from the team. They did not expect this from this roster. They didn't expect Sugarman to make the moves to even improve the roster midseason, like they did. So I think as a whole, there's a lot of people who do admit that this was a problem. But for the people who booed Jay, I mean, look, I think there's just some people who need themselves to be right above all. And that's just basically what they're doing. Is just like, no, I still don't like him, despite the fact that he achieved the goal that I was almost looking for, more or less. So, but hats off to the Union. That was a great season.
Yeah, and I do want to ask the question of the one person I know of in Philadelphia sports that hasn't been booed in Philadelphia. Seba, your thoughts on the Shield?
No, I mean, it's such a huge accomplishment. I think the team was fantastic all year long. First credit to all the criticism, happening to the team from the beginning of the year. Nobody was betting on any of of the team, of the guys, playing for this team to make something happen. Big credit to, Bradley Carnell coming in, not easy after all the people being mad about the fact that Jim is not the coach anymore and the decision to make it step down. I think he really brought the team playing the way he wanted to, kind of change the culture a little bit, in this team, especially the first team. And then, all the way down, from, the academy where I spend a lot of time right now, everybody is trying to kind of get the same type of mentality and style of play, which is, very important when you have a lot of young guys that Yun is going to do to bring, to the first team so they can, right away be impactful and bring something. And you saw that this year, it was not just, like I always say, 11 guys playing every game all the time. It was a mix of a lot of different young guys mixed with older guys, with a new guy coming into the team for the first year. And, we have a lot of, great surprise coming out of this season. So fantastic, win at home to get the shield in front of your fans. It's always, even sweeter. So that was a great moment, this year. And yeah, it's like Adam said, I think for me, it's in every other league, it's the hardest, title to get. You play to get, number one in a standing at the end. The playoff, it's something here, special from the US. But yeah, it was such an incredible season from everybody, and nobody expecting it, which is even better and sweeter. So now, whatever happened from now, and a lot of things already happened in off season until, we play the first game, or until even July. Everybody's going to always critique and say something bad stuff about booing Jay, the game or whatever. But there's always, people who just love negativity. So, if they don't want to see the positivity in the fact that with less money this team has to get player, and the fact that they're able to do what they do, and the fact that they focus more on developing this club from the roots, from the academy, to then make it, a bigger club. That's their own problem. Just be a fan of another team. So you don't have to boo, and you can be happy to just buy player for, 15 million, 20 million, and, they don't do anything for you, or they don't win any title. So we won title. I think it was great. And congrats to everybody in the team, from the guy who just played a few minutes to, like Kai Wagner and, all the guys who have been here for the team since now a couple of years, who accomplish, an amazing season and get rewarded. So it was fun to be at every game. And like Adam said, I think it was a lot of great game to watch and see kind of like the energy and the culture that this team had this year.
Yeah, and I can't blame anyone for, in the beginning of the year, not feeling great about the team. I mean, I thought I was the most optimistic, and I thought they were going to be in 4th or 5th place and make the playoffs. And now they run it and win the Shield. And again, Jim's gone. They get rid of Gazdag. They get rid of Jack McGlynn. So nobody has these expectations. But you saw with Bradley and with Ernst Vision was, they developed a culture, and they really worked hard, and they were a fun team to watch because you didn't know who was going to be the hero. Where if you're an Inter Miami fan, you're expecting one little dude to run around and do everything. Or Vancouver, you're expecting one guy from Germany to carry the load, and if they don't succeed. Where the Union, there was a new hero every time, so I thought that was great. Some more news.
What I will say about like the team too, it's what you saw this year. It's like you knew about the talent of Wagner, Glesnes. You saw a glimpse of Baribo, finishing last season on a strong note, but you have a lot of new players who came this year. And, if we just talk about Denley having an amazing season, Lukic in the midfield, Andrew Rick as a goalkeeper, Macania coming, in center back, Westfield as a right back, like Quinn Sullivan kind of doing an amazing, like 3/4 of the season, Damiani coming in and kind of really making his mark at the end of the year as well. You have all of those guys who came, Vasilev, who, come as well and get some stuff of the team. There's so many new guy who came, and people are like, I don't know, and they really show what they could do, and their value went even more up in this league and maybe overseas. So that's what the team is all about, is to bring players who are hungry, who are younger and wants to show what they can do when they maybe didn't get the chance somewhere else, And I think credit to Ernst, to Bradley Carnell, and everybody to really give confidence to all of those young guys, because how many new guys were like, oh my god, wow, he can play. Oh my god, wow, he's good. Like it's something I think very good for this team for the future.
Yeah, I don't think you overlook this team no matter what happens in the offseason right now. Another news of, because we didn't get to it before, there was another cup going on in the league, and it was Austin versus Nashville for the U.S. Open Cup. And the only reason I bring this up was Nashville wins it 2-1. It's the first professional championship, Adam, in the state of Tennessee. I mean, good for you, but I guess the whole state of Tennessee really doesn't have a lot of pro sports, so maybe the Preds got to get on it next.
They had 2 teams, Matthew.
Three.
3 teams.
Memphis, the Preds, and Titans.
Yeah, other than the 1 yard that they were short in that one Super Bowl, no Tennessee team has even flirted with the idea of a title until this one. So, good on Nashville. That's a great fan base. That was what I love about a lot of these expansions in MLS is it just tells me what I kind of knew about some of these cities, where I was like, if you put a team here, people will love it. You put a team in Austin, people will love it. You put a team in Nashville, people will love it. And it's proof positive now. Put a team in San Diego, people will love it. So, I appreciate that. And I appreciate also how MLS, put teams in locations that don't already have a saturation of teams, that they try to carve out their own market. And then they get to become the darlings of Cincinnati. They get to become the darlings of some of these cities. So,
I think Seba dropped out, but we'll give him a.
Well, basically, I love the idea of Nashville getting a title. I want the U.S. Open Cup myself, so eventually I would like that to be us. But, as a person who struggled as a child with Philadelphia not being good at sports,
I'm kind of happy Nashville got a title, so good for them.
Yeah, I was sort of happy, but not happy because, Seb and I did go down to Nashville for 4th of July and saw L. So, I'm still a little bitter about that, but I'll get over it. I'll get over it eventually.
That's totally
but speaking of the Union, the playoff run, we win the first game on penalty kicks, crush game number 2, and then Matt Freese comes into town. The same Matt Freese that, Adam, you and I defeated at the Mike Missinelli family feud with one Sebastian Letou on Matt Freese's team, and he comes back for his revenge game on us, and New York City beats us in the playoffs. I'll let Seba go with your thoughts on that playoff game and your former teammate Matt Freese.
I mean, he had an amazing game. Don't get me wrong. I think he denied so many chances, especially in the second half where we were down 1-0, and he made 2 big saves, one on Ilowski and one on Westfield, where we could have tied the game. And after a game can switch, especially when you go back, from the score and the help of the crowd or whatever. But he keep his clean sheet. Congrats for him. I think he had an amazing season with them, with the national team. He showed a lot of good things, and he was here big time during the playoff. But for the Union, it's not an excuse, but you always know that when you win the Shield and then you have like a 3-week break because of not playing a playoff game because of international duty or whatever, it's tough kind of like to get back into it. And knowing that, like you say, we just beat them the day of winning the Shield, that New York City FC have nothing to lose. They just lost, their striker Martinez, a midfielder, before the game as well. So they were kind of like, nothing to lose, and they play hard. And at the end, I feel like it was a bit of maybe nervosity in the beginning of the game. We didn't really find our groove. And then when trail, it's a bit harder to get back to it. But yeah, for sure, Matt Freese was the big piece for them to not have the Union coming back, and we could have. It was so close. But unfortunately, we lost against them. But still, amazing season from the guys.
Oh, for sure. Adam, your thoughts on the elegance NYU?
I mean, look, if you want to add it to the long list of Union homegrown goalkeepers that keep me from getting championships, we can add into that, and that's fine. Matt Freese is from
my hometown of Wayne, Pennsylvania, so I have to give him a little bit of love. But look, the kid stood on his head, and Seba is 100% correct. The Union had ample opportunities to possibly come back into that game and win it themselves. But like a lot of things in this sport, you can be the better 11, but if that goalie is that goalie, that could be the entire difference. And he stood on his head. And look, I've been barking for him to be, at least in the conversation for the top 3 for the World Cup. I want him to be in the conversation for number 1. Honestly, I want to know who's playing hotter than him right now as an American goalkeeper. So, we'll see, and we'll see what happens with camp. But anyway, philosophy on that. And this is also why I believe winning the Shield is a more impressive feat than MLS Cup, because it just takes one game to crash out on, and then that's it. And that, to me, is not really vindicative of what your season was. I just feel it's much more impressive to be at the top at the end of a regular season than to win 5 games at the right time. But that's just me, and that can be bitter. I can accept if that sounds bitter, but that's just my philosophy on that.
You've adopted the European outlook while you're over in Italy. That's why, because the playoffs are definitely an American invention. The only thing I was shocked at was how flat the Union came out. And I know some of you said they had 22, 23 days off, but the way Bradley had everyone prepared, I was more shocked at how flat they looked after that break. But I was like, we really missed Quinn Sullivan. I mean, it was kind of glaring how much we missed Quinn being on that. So, I mean, if there's anything that we can improve on, is we got to figure out, how do we have somebody besides Quinn Sullivan out there creating opportunities. But again, great season. Just, you hate losing to New York City in anything. I don't care what it would be.
A little more depth was always fun, but again, team was good. I think, had ample opportunities, just didn't come through. And I told people after watching the semifinal with Miami, or the quarterfinal with Miami, whoever has to play them in the semifinal is not going to win. And then New York loses 5-1. And now it's just so I was like, shout out to Cheyenne of Between Clean Sheets fame. She was basically one of the people as a social media soccer influencer who said, the Union probably have the best chance of beating Miami, and they're losing 1-0 to New York. Because at that point, I don't think anybody in America was going to beat Inter Miami, and it proved to be positive. But again, great season, hard to crash out against New York, but circumstances be circumstance. And this was the worst formatted playoffs ever. Not even just from the format of itself, but you cannot have virtually a month off between the regular season and the playoffs. It's not okay. It's not okay. It was the greatest momentum killer possible. No other sports league do I know where in 2022 we played MLS Cup on November 5th, I believe it was. And in 2025, we're playing it in December. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And even Garber said it himself. It was a poorly executed a way to do the playoffs. So hopefully we get it fixed. Hopefully, the top seeds don't necessarily get punished for being great. And that's honestly what you're doing when you're giving teams 3 weeks off as a bye, even though it's just a momentum killer completely.
Well, we'll get into that as we do. Seb, any last thoughts on the playoff format and the championship, and as we look forward?
I mean, I kind of always, as a French person who came here and live here now since almost 18 years, I'm always, wondering why, like, for example, let's take the example of NFL and football. You have a title for NFC East champion, for the Eagles, and it's 4 teams. And I never understood why we don't, because of the standing, like being, like you say, very rewarding to be like the regular season champ of, a conference, even if you just, let's say, divide West and East, and you have the champion of your West, champion of the East, and then you can make, playoff through your division or your conference, and then have like a Super Bowl at the end. But I never understood why it's just NFC East and NFC South, and it's all NFC, but it's just like 4 teams, and you have a big, sign in a stadium every year they win it to beat 3 teams. It's like I just like I never understood why you are like, whoa, we are NFC East champion. I'm like, you had to beat 3 teams. It's if you were like the NFC, like at the end when because you still have another sign as well when you won the total NFC as a playoff before the Super Bowl. It's like that's what matters. So I'm always like wondering why like people are like, oh, regular season. I'm like, yeah, it's very important. Like I think as a player, like if you ask in NFL, everybody play everybody in the NFC, and maybe you play twice. The people who are in your conference or in your division. But it's that you have to beat everybody. It's not just you play the same people all the time, and at the end you're like, oh, I never play this team, and then you have to play them in a Super Bowl. I don't know. It's hard to understand like the thinking process because I'm not born here and I never like grew up with a mentality of American sports, but I'm into it. I understand some of it, but sometimes with soccer it's very different, like the way you are thinking about the regular season. So one day maybe people will understand.
We're
every league's
grandfathered
different too. So yeah.
We're kind of grandfathered in for being like Americans. We've known it for so long, playoffs, because it's dumb. It is dumb. The only playoff that I truly appreciate is the NCAA tournament because if it's just pure chaos. Like when you have like 8 teams competing in a single elimination tournament, I love that. But I also don't believe whoever wins that tournament is the best team in college basketball. That's just the end of it, Like sometimes the number 1 seed makes it all the way to the final. But like if you're going to tell me a Cinderella story like Butler happens a couple of years ago, there is no one in the universe that thought Butler was a top 4 team in college basketball. They just won the appropriate amount of games. And I think how we judge that as here are the great all-time teams because they won that particular title and not because of regular season success and all of that stuff. I completely agree with them. It's weird. NFC championships or NFC East championships are dumb. That's why when the Patriots won like 16 in a row AFC East champions, no one cared after a while because they were playing the Jets, Dolphins, and Bills. And it's just like, okay, cool. You were supposed to beat them, Tom Brady. So I 100% agree. 100% agree.
For teams that aren't that good, like the Eagles in the 90s, when you won the NFC East championship, it was to help sell tickets and give new hope that you won something, even though it doesn't mean anything. And that's the whole thing with the playoffs. I mean, playoffs, you look at the playoffs. Why does the MLS have the first round 2 games, not best of? It's 2 games. It's so the team that's the lower seed gets some playoff revenue. It's always about the money. That's if you boil it down, that's what it's about. It's about the money. And speaking of, let's get to some Union news, guys. We got the good, the bad, and the ugly, and let's just get the elephant out of the room. Before the playoff game, it's announced Ernst Tanner is placed on a suspension or leave of absence or whatever you want to say. And I don't think we have to get into it too much. A lot of this is older things about Ernst that, he already went through some kind of training or counseling. I know Ernst a decent amount, probably not as much as Seba. I don't think he's got anything malicious about him. I'm sure he's got some old school wiring in his brain. I do know most of the players don't really like him, but he's not a warm and fuzzy guy, and he doesn't like to get to know the players as individuals because he's going to ship you out as soon as he thinks he can get somebody that does the job better. So I feel like the league got a little heavy-handed, kind of like the Sixers back in the day, Adam, with bringing Colangelo's kid in. I think the league was like, you know what? We don't like the way you're doing Moneyball. We don't like the process. And that's about it. But, we just have to wait and see what happens with Ernst because, this team has been drastically different since Ernst Tanner has been given control. And if Ernst Tanner isn't there, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So that's all I have to say. I mean, I'd like to hear what the investigation does and what happens, but it's just something to watch. If you guys want to comment or don't want to comment, go ahead.
Just real quick, as the person of color here on the pod, if the allegations are true, I don't know. I don't know Ernst as well as you guys do. I've had a couple of cordial interactions with him. He's been very nice. But if allegations are true on a lot of these things, it's very disappointing because, you know, I would like that to not be in our front office. The fact that he was investigated for this before and it didn't really seem to turn up much, but now we're doing it again because of possible new evidence. Look, it's been a couple of weeks already since then, so I'm not sure what is going on with that, but we'll see. I hope for the best that it's not true, not just for the fact of our club, but just for human status. You know, I just hope that we have less people like that in our world, period. So, but that's it on that front. And I hate when these things are used to dampen seasons or dampen reputations of clubs because, you know, like so many people before, this club is going to outlast all of us probably. And you hate the idea that an individual and their actions can, you know, put a damper on, you know, something that was so remarkable as this season. So that's really my piece on that.
So, anything to add, or should we move along?
No, I think we should just move on. I'm just, you know, trusting the investigation about what's going to happen. And, you know, he has been through, like Adam said, last year, nothing came out. Of course, timing happened that, something, you know, new come in. And so like you say, I know Ernst maybe closer than you guys. I mean, here I never had personally an issue with anything he did or say. He's definitely, you know, somebody who I've been experienced is, you know, like the culture of the US a bit different than for me, you know, sometimes. And I will say, like, we always do some mistakes in a language, or sometimes you say something and, you know, maybe you're not around the person you should be and you don't use the right language. But it's, you know, everybody do mistake when English is not your first language. If it's about, you know, whatever you said, but there's an investigation about somewhere else. There's a lot of stuff I don't know about, but I'm just, you know, waiting. Hopefully, the investigation to be, you know, quick. So, you know, hopefully, come back negative with nothing, you know, to put Ernst, you know, in jeopardy, and hopefully he can come back and do the same job that he's been doing for the team.
Yep, couldn't say it any better. So, other news: Ty Baribo, the almost the Golden Boot winner this year, goes down to DC for $4.6 million. Okay, I'm all right. Glesnes, $2 million in GAM to Los Angeles. You know, I'm okay. And then we did make a big signing, Ezekiel, for $4.5 million. And this kid, I'm hearing, is off the charts metrics on like speed and athleticism, kind of like Stanley Jean-Jacques. I just butched that. So, yeah, I just want to get, well, Seba, have you seen Ezekiel yet? No?
No, I did not. I just, like you guys, you know, saw him when he signed on social media and on the website. But, yeah, just saw some highlights. Definitely, he looked like a very exciting player, exciting forward. Like you say, with look like a lot of fantastic physical ability with his speed and strongness. And what I like about him too is the left-footed too. So it's, you know, hard to find as a forward. So yeah, I'm like everybody else. Hopefully he can have an impact right away. But you know, it takes some time, you know, to have somebody to come from a, you know, different league to adapt here. And you know, yeah, it's. I just wish him the best. And yeah, hopefully he can be one of the big goal scorers for the team next year.
Yeah, and with Ty and Jacob leaving, probably 3 years ago, I would have been all upset. Anymore, when we get rid of somebody, I go, okay, we've got a plan. It's going to be all right. You know, when you got rid of Gaztag, you're like, oh, God. Got rid of McGlynn, you're like, oh, my God, what are we doing? And then you're like, and then you watch some of these guys afterwards, after they leave the union, and they don't really produce. The only guys that really kill us are our ex-academy goalkeepers that kick us in the butt. So, Adam, your thoughts on the guys leaving and the new hope that's arising?
I remember The Wolf of Wall Street, when you have all of these scenes of these gentlemen just looking at talking on a phone very kindly and very nicely and doing obscene gestures behind the phone, knowing that they're getting a fabtastic deal. And look, that's good. Ty Baribo's good business. That's just what that is. For what you signed him for, and the fact that you got, you know, $4.5 million for a gentleman who basically gave you 4 months of fantastic soccer, but that was it as a poacher. That's just good business. I don't know, especially when you've signed guys like Bruno, like Yolowski, like you know you have quality upfront talent, and then you sign another guy. So already knowing that Ure was probably on his way out anyway, to get that much for Ty Baribo, fantastic. And I also find it funny that you sell him to a team like DC United, where they had a Christian Benteke once, and it's just like, well, I guess, you know, the forward play when you sign a aging superstar isn't always the most beneficial. So sometimes you have to, you know, go into the bargain bins, but then overpay in said bargain bin. So like, look, the Union are known for doing good business, you know, like, then that's truly about that. It's the exact opposite of the Philadelphia Flyers, like you were talking about. Every single time the Flyers sell someone, they win the cup immediately after they get sold. Here, it's just one of these things where, again, Gazdag had not had a great season for Columbus. I think everyone can say that. I think McGlynn had a solid season for Houston. Beyond that, you know, Jack Elliott, you are the captain of Chicago, and I respect that. He had a solid season himself. But outside of that, you don't see too many of these guys who get out of our system do so well outside of that system. So all that to be said, you know, between that move and getting what you got for Glesnes, you know, other than the fact that they both stayed in MLS, I just think that that's just great business on the part of the Union, especially if they reinvest that into whatever they will. And if Ezekiel is half as good as his highlight tape says he is, combining that with the system we have, with the people who can distribute the ball like we can to him, this could be a really good signing for the club.
Yeah, we've got some missing pieces for sure, but it's still, you know, I don't feel like we're worse off after selling the two people that we sold. So we'll see. Speaking of business, the pod wants to do a big thank you to Sean Brace. I don't know if everybody follows and knows, but Sean brought us on to iHeartRadio, and he has left iHeartRadio, and we are going to go for the pod a little bit more independent, which I think is going to be better for us. And we're going to kind of rework some things. We're going to do things a little differently in the new season and the new year, and we're excited about it, and we'll share more as we sit down and get that planned out. But the future is looking good. I think the Union are going to have an exciting season. The World Cup's coming, and I think as the pod, we're going to adapt and adjust to it so we can do a better job of covering the Union and maybe soccer in Philadelphia as the World Cup's coming and as all these changes happen. So I think the change that happened at iHeart is actually going to be better for us. It's going to give us a little, at least me, a kick in the rear end to innovate what we're doing a little bit differently and better. So I think it's going to be more entertaining. And with that, guys, the season is upon us. I mean, it's December right now. And January, I put July in the notes. January 17th, the Union fly out to Spain to start the preseason, to start their training camp. So we are a month, we're under a month away from Union soccer coming back with such a short off season. Clearwater starts February 4th. That begins the camp, and they will have two games, Cincinnati on the 7th and Montreal on the 10th. And then all of a sudden, it gets real. We go to Trinidad and Tobago on February 18th. And for everybody else, get your cold weather gear. I'm watching Seba put his beanie on. He's ready. February the 26th, home game for CONCACAF against Defense Force. Adam, are you ready for a February game on the banks of the Delaware River?
No. Absolutely not. What are you talking about? This is awful. I get it. I understand it. And I understand the winter calendar and all that. But golly, no one wants to be in Chester in January, ever. It's just awful. That that river effect, wind, and just general moisture. It's just, no, I get it. Everyone else in the universe plays through winter. It's fun, and we might as well get used to it for 2027. But I'm like, also, I feel bad for like Vancouver, right? Like I know it's like it's a weird thing. Like, No, but well, they're actively looking to leave that dome too. But like, I feel bad for Vancouver because they just played MLS Cup a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and now they're going to start. They have Champions League as well. They have all of their preseason. They're going to have a 6-week off season total. Like, that's insane. That's nuts. That's Seba, I don't know what you guys were used to in terms of off seasons. I know the Union had a lot of seasons where they didn't make deep playoff runs. You got a little bit, maybe even earlier break. But this sounds barbaric to me as a consumer that you get this little off after that much effort into a season. I mean, I just want to know your thoughts.
It's still a lot of vacation, Adam. When I played in France, you had 3 weeks of vacation. That's it. So it's like
Adam, it's
like
more barbaric.
When you play in France, sorry, like if I play in France, it's like I was finished the season like end of May, and you start preseason in June 22nd, and then because I play second division, your season start a bit earlier than the first division, but still because the first division finished later in a year. So yeah, you just have 3 weeks in Europe usually. And imagine if you play for a national team or whatever, you always have a competition to play and you have less vacation. So it's not a lot. Here in America, you have a lot of time off, maybe too much sometimes. That's why there's still some guys right now who are still training to stay in shape. Before you cannot take too long of a break, especially like with the change of weather and everything. So 6 weeks is plenty.
You know what doesn't get any time off, Adam? My Amex card. Because I just went from paying the playoffs off to like right to the season. I don't even get a break on the Amex. It's just constant. There's always a union charge on there.
You know what it is? It's just for me and my mental health. I think I need more of a break. I need less drama. So I'm like,
take some time off in your Italian villa. You're going to be fine. But poor Sebastian Letou.
I'm going to go see Palermo.
He starts February 21st. You're going down to DC, Seba. You got the season opener in DC February 21st. That's not going to be very warm either.
No, it might not be warm, but we might do the Champions League game as well, which will be fun. But it's still in a world right now. But yeah, I mean, for DC, we already have our storyline. Baribo back against his old team, so it's going to be interesting, especially with the success of the Union in DC. But yeah, it's around the corner. But like you said, short preseason, quick turnaround. Let's see if some guys are coming new into the team, knowing that we lost Baribo and Glesnes. I'm sure there's some people in the mix right now, knowing, Ernst and the people who work with him to get somebody else. But in the same time, if something happened like that, it means that maybe we are thinking of Neil Pierre, being ready as well to play more. So it's another young guys coming from the academy who could maybe have an impact next year.
Yeah, let me just give everybody another quick rundown. So, Adam, you're going to have Valentine's Day on February 14th. The 18th, the Union will be in Trinidad and Tobago. The 21st in DC. The 26th is when we come home for Defense Force at Subaru Park. And then March 1st is the first chance we get on the revenge game against Matt Freese in New York City. That's how many games from February to March 1st we're in. And then we're in the thick of it. We're in the season, so it's going to be fast and furious. And this is the first time in a long time the Union have drawn 3 really decent away trips. We've got Miami. Unfortunately, that's over Memorial Day weekend, so I don't want to go to that. But we've got San Diego in September, and Austin, I think, is in July. So we've got some good away trips that we should, think about getting the band back together. We follow Sebastian and Dave Leno on the road and go out to some of these. So, and then, of course, the World Cup. Philadelphia, June 13th, June 16th, June 22nd, June 25th, June 27th, and July 4th. We got a lot of soccer going on, guys. I need to get a Powerball ticket to afford all this. So that's pretty much where we're at. So I think the next pod we'll get in season. We'll talk about the expectations, what we think is going to happen. We'll start leaning into the World Cup. We'll bitch and moan about the lottery system. Adam, you haven't won the lottery yet for FIFA tickets, have you?
I have not. And we can have an entire conversation about this World Cup farce and how angry everyone should be at FIFA. And oh, yeah, giving out a fake award to appease a maniac so that he can allow people into the country to watch a soccer match. I don't know if I've seen a more shameless thing in the history of FIFA. And we're talking about FIFA. And that
Listen,
FIFA always on the World Cup draw. I want to know
Adam,
why Kevin Hart was in there.
FIFA always is going to raise the bar on their shithousery, and you know that. So just I don't know why you were surprised. But last thing, league
How
news.
did they find Lauren Hill? Where did they find Lauren Hill? I just want to know where she was hiding this whole time.
Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know. Miami wins. Busquets and Jordi Alba retire. Suarez is going to stay. That means they have an open DP spot. Can't wait to hear about that. Red Bull got a new coach, but it's like the old coach because it's his kid or whatever. I don't really care about Red Bull. The one thing I was amazed though, and you see it in the NFL once in a blue moon or in the NBA. Columbus sells their manager. Sends them to Scotland. I mean, I think losing Ernst is really bad for us, but Columbus losing Nancy, I think that's devastating for Columbus. I just want to get your guys' opinion real quick. And does Nancy go into Celtic help Austin Trusty the process make the U.S. men's national team?
I go first. I mean, since he's been there, he's been just losing. So not maybe the right time move for him. And we all know it takes time to get his philosophy through the player. But I know there's a lot of angry people at the Celtic right now because they are not winning and they are losing. So that is going to help Trusty, maybe, but they need to start winning if he wants to make the team.
Adam, your thoughts on the off-season moves between, especially Columbus,
I mean, that was one of these things where I was like the old Chappelle show skit where I was like, I didn't know you could do that. And the fact that they sold a manager, and I'm like, I didn't even know you could do that. That's hilarious. But no.
And how did we sell Jim then? I was like, damn it.
Yo, that's what I'm saying. He had value. We could have sold him to somewhere. I'm just saying. Anyway, look, I think it's good for Celtic to get a little fresh blood in there. It might be good for Austin to have someone who's more familiar with his game to help him out there. What is going on in Central Ohio? I have no idea. That's a roller coaster ride, if I've never seen one. They went from literally the darlings in North American soccer to like, okay, let's rebuild it, I guess. I'm not 100% sure what you're going to do with that. But look, it means something, though, that you were selling a MLS manager to Europe, to one of the more historically prominent clubs in Europe. I believe there's something to be gently proud about that, even though it's not necessarily our club. But outside of that, I don't know. MLS go crazy. And this sounds like Lane Kiffin and LSU all over again. And this is why we're moving to the winter calendar anyway, so we can make these things seem less weird.
Yeah, and I have notes for the winter calendar, but you know what? We can get into that later because we're hitting about the time. So we will discuss on the next one about that. So all I'm going to say is happy holidays, everybody. Seba, happy holidays. Adam, happy holidays. Happy New Year. I think we'll reconvene after the New Year when everybody's done their vacations, and we will talk about this upcoming Union season, which is going to be a crazy roller coaster of a ride. We'll get our expectations. We'll figure out where we think we are. We'll get news from Spain to see how the team looks. Of course, there's the Ernst drama that's going to happen. And then we go right to Champions League, regular season, and right into the World Cup. So we've got a lot to go on. So, guys, thank you so much. Thank everybody for tuning in. And this was X's in the U, and have a great evening.
Happy holidays. Bye, guys.